Good evening, everybody. Well, the snowstorm's coming. It's definite now. And one thing I will say, when I show you the snowfall map that I came up with later, most of you are going to think I'm a little too high, but I have a reason for that. I really think based on the 500 millibar, which you're looking at, and I'll go through it, that this is going to be a storm that surprises people. I think that there's going to be more snow than people think. This is a really strong storm. And I've seen this again and again. And so my main reason, so let me point out here, this is the American model. And this is actually an analysis of what the atmosphere looked like earlier this afternoon. You have your piece of energy here moving into Illinois. This is the piece of energy that's creating our storm. Back to the north and west, this is ingredient number 2. This is our trough. And that trough is going to steer this to the east. And the trough is bringing a shot of cold Arctic air. So those two ingredients are really important. But the reason that I'm convinced that this is going to be a very intense storm is that the trough and this piece of energy are going to phase. And when energy phases together, storms often do end up to be stronger than originally predicted. So that is like the main reason I am convinced. So let's go through here. Don't want to belabor this. And here we go. By late tonight, this is 1 a.m. tonight, you see it go back one frame. Sorry. This is where we were. Here's the piece of energy creating our storm. Here's the trough. Watch these two come together. There you go. Now they're connected. And this connection gets stronger. It's starting to strengthen here. Look at all this deep red. And another thing that I learned from AccuWeather meteorologist Bernie Rayno, he's the one who inspired me to start doing these videos several years ago. I pretty much learned how to forecast storms with the 500 millibar all because of him. I give him all the credit. And, you know, he says to look at the map here and where is the wind pointing to? Where is the wind going to? And it points to central southern New England, southern New York State, central New York State as well. It's pointing to Pennsylvania. It's pointing to central and northern New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island included in that, Boston. It's pointing to this general area. So this is you're jabbing 30, 40, 50 knots of wind in the upper atmosphere into this region here, and that energy creates upward motion and precipitation. So this is where you look for the heaviest snow to form. Okay, so let's go forward one more frame, and now look at this. Also, notice how, first off, this connection, dude, this is pretty much just a single blob of energy now. It's not separated. Notice that as we go from this frame, focus on this part of the piece of energy here. This is still the piece of energy that's creating our storm, and this is still the trough behind it. Notice how this tilts to the northwest. Right now it's tilted northeast to southwest here in this frame. This is Thursday morning. Go ahead one more frame. Now it's tilted northwest to southeast. That is very important. It is going negatively tilted, and actually the fact that this piece of energy, you could see how it's starting to rotate around back towards the trough. That also implies two things. One, moisture is going to be drawn back. And two, that means the storm is intensifying rapidly off the coast. So that's really good. That's what you want to see. And then as we go towards tomorrow evening, now all this wind energy is pumping up into Maine and southern Canada. So now you are going to get struck up in northern New England here. And I think the models earlier in the week were underdoing that. So this is my reason. All the models are showing this. There is no divergence anymore. This is happening. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the surface map. All right, this is this evening. This is the storm a couple hours ago. This is what the storm looked like. See, the precipitation's not intense yet, but that energy is going to phase together. See, now this snow is starting to pick up on the northwestern side. That's what happens with an intensifying area of low pressure to the north and west. That's where you get the heaviest snow. And another thing to look at this area of low pressure, 999. I want you to watch that number. As it goes down, that means the storm is rapidly strengthening. So this is late tonight. Tomorrow morning, look at that. The snow's getting heavier, and we're down to 993. That's 7 millibars in 6 hours. That's 6 millibars in 6 hours. That's a really strong increase. When a storm strengthens that quick, you're in for trouble. And then just 6 hours later, 10 millibar decrease down to 983 by Thursday afternoon. And look at this, just central southern New England, southeastern New York State, New Jersey, even Philly on the back edge. You are getting walloped right now at about 12 o'clock, 1 in the afternoon tomorrow. This is part of where you're going to get the heaviest snow. And then this storm is going to strengthen even more, and the negatively tilted trough now is going to be pulling energy back into central and northern New England now. See this? 977. Yes, the storm's all the way out here, but look, you still have these heavier snows trying to reach back towards the coast of Maine and New Hampshire. So the idea here, so tonight into tomorrow morning, that's where you're going to be focused on in Pennsylvania, West Virginia here, these places back towards Ohio. This is where you're getting most of your snow. It's probably snowing right now. Tomorrow morning, now it moves east. So now Philly, Baltimore, now you'd be concerned by tomorrow morning you're going to be getting heavy snow. Now the other thing though, you know what, I'll get to that when I get to the snowfall map. Cold air is going to be filtering in at the same time. So one of the reasons I'm very high with snowfall accumulations across southern New England is because by the time the heaviest snow, by the time this is falling, the cold air is already in place. As the heavy snow starts to fall back towards the west here, near Philly and Baltimore and eastern Pennsylvania, the cold air is still going to be filtering in. So that's why I'm a little concerned that you get less snow here. But once you get to New England, Long Island, New York City, this cold air is locked in place, so that means you're going to get more snow. Okay, so by tomorrow afternoon, the snow starts to spread north and east into central northern New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. Boston's getting pummeled. Providence is getting pummeled. The Cape is getting pummeled. Long Island, New York City are getting pummeled at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then the snow starts to taper off. It lingers around a little bit, but it starts to taper off, except in central northern New England where you're still getting some heavier snow. And then by late tomorrow night, it just lingers around Maine, and by Friday morning, it's gone. Okay, so the other thing that I like to show is the upward motion. And this is one of the things that I really strongly depend on when I'm making my snowfall map, not just the precipitation in 500 millibar. Again, this is the American model. Now the reason I'm only showing the American model is because at this point all the models are pretty much on the same track. So I'm not really going to do much comparison because I think everyone is on the same track. But let's not belabor this. All right, later tonight, I would say above where I'm drawing right now, you're probably below freezing already. So central and northern Pennsylvania, all this upward motion is going to be creating snow, and this is pretty intense upward motion. However, it gets more intense as you go into the morning. See, now look at this. Philly, you're snowing at this point. Baltimore, I think you're snowing at this point as well. You probably will just be changing over by about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. DC, I think you're still rain or mixing it at this point. You're gonna get clipped on the back end, but you're not gonna get anything significant. But anyway, look at all this upward motion. This is, really intense. And so southern New York here, lower Hudson Valley, central northern New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania here, including Philly. You're getting walloped at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then it just moves east throughout the day here. Now, Connecticut, Massachusetts, not quite Boston yet, but you're getting there. Long Island, lower Hudson Valley, still central and northern New Jersey. Look at this. Look at this upward motion. This is, sorry, this is 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Previously, this was 4 o'clock, so that's my mistake. So at 7 o'clock, now you're all snow down to Baltimore. So the upward motion kind of misses you by a little bit, which is why I have you lower. But Philly's still in it. New York City, Long Island's in it. Southern Connecticut, all of Connecticut, Massachusetts is in it. And then as we go on further, look at this. Long Island, take a look at this little thingy here. This little band of upward motion. There's probably going to be an intense band of snow forming. See, I think you're going to have a line here of over a foot. And I'll get to that in a minute. See, I also think that this upward motion is going to be more expansive in Maine. I think the GFS is not picking up on that. There's going to be heavier snow along coastal Maine. So, all right, so I have 3.5 minutes left to do this video. Let's talk snowfall, Matt. Here we go. Okay, so you look, and you say to me, oh, but Michael, nobody else is predicting up to 18 inches. Now, just because I have 12 to 18 here, that doesn't mean everybody's going to get 18 inches. This is just a range. I do think that everybody that is within this purple line here, in this area, is getting at least a foot. I think you're all getting at least a foot. If I had to take a guess an overall range, I would say it's probably going to be more along the line of 12 to 16 inches. However, if more intense banding does develop, I could see a couple of areas getting 18, 19, 20 inches of snow. I am not kidding. And if I had to pick an area for that to happen, I would say anywhere from Long Island, New York City, up towards central southern Connecticut, up into central eastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island. This is the place where you can get over a foot, possibly 16 inches or more, based on where the banding goes. So anywhere in here, I'm going to put 12 to 18, even though it's going to be more like a 12 to 16. Does somebody get 2 feet out of this? Think that's going to be tough because it's a fast-moving system. But I can see 18, 19, 20 inches in a couple spots. Okay? So Boston, Providence, Hartford, New York City, all of Long Island, the Cape, Portland, Maine, all of this coastal section of Maine here, back towards Poughkeepsie, I would put on the lower end of this. Northern eastern Pennsylvania, I would put Harrisburg in this. We're going 12 to 18. 12 to 18 inches. Okay? Might be a little crazy, but I'm taking the risk. Most of Pennsylvania, we're going to go 6 to 12. Central New York State, including Albany, we're going to go 6 to 12. A good portion of Vermont, southern and central Vermont, and most of New Hampshire, we're going to go 6 to 12. Burlington, I think you're like, you're probably going to be on the edge of the 6 line. So I think you get maybe 6, 7, 8, or 9 in Burlington. Most of central Maine, we're going 6 to 12. Okay? Let's see. State College, 6 to 12. Philadelphia, 6 to 12. 6 to 12 inches. I think you get closer to a foot. I think Philadelphia is going to get more like 8, 9, 10, or 11 inches. Okay. Baltimore, I have you just south of the 6 line. I think you're like a 3 to 6. 3, 4, 6 inches in Baltimore. Because you're going to start as rain and it's going to be hard for snow to accumulate, but I think you are going to thump on the backside. So we're going to go 3 to 6 for you. DC, we're going to go 1 to 3 because I think you're just going to get clipped on the back end. And then below that, 1 to 3, central Delaware, northern Virginia here, and then back towards Ohio and West Virginia and Kentucky, 1 to 3. Okay, I'm running out of time. I have to make this under 15 minutes. That is it. This is the storm. So stay inside. Oh, and watch out along the coast for gusty winds and blizzard conditions, okay? Watch out.